Hey y'all, so I think the humble Swiss Army knife is the best EDC knife out there. Changed my mind. So now we're going to talk about why I like the Swiss Army knife so much. Here we have on the bench what I used to carry. This is a Gerber Covert Fast Assisted Opening Knife. Good knife, partially shredded blade. It's got a good bit of wear on it, but it works just fine, and I carried it for many years and actually recommended this knife to a couple people. I like the design. I like the pocket clip on it. G10 handles are really nice, and it works great. What I noticed was after years of carrying this knife was I used it for pretty much one thing. I used it to cut open boxes, open letters, cut twine, stuff like that, right? And the knife never failed me when that situation arose where I needed it. That's why we carry knives, right? So I've got this knife, right? And this is a decent sized knife, right? But I have big hands, so I wanted a little bit bigger knife. And I've got this knife that does one thing. It just has a blade on it. Sure, you could use it as a hammer or something if you had to, but at the end of the day, it does one thing. Then come in the Swiss Army knife. Alright, so now we move to my current knife, and this is the Huntsman Swiss Army knife. At least I'm pretty sure it's a Huntsman, and this we're going to get into my first point, which is durability. I'm pretty sure it's a Huntsman because I did not buy this knife new. I got this at a flea market for $1. The reason they only wanted $1 was because it was so gummed up with gunk and this weird caustic whatever nasty stuff on it that did leave a little bit of pitting, right? That it was inoperable. You could not open any of the blades on it. It was, honestly, it was ready for the trash, but I was able to take it home and I hosed it down with Ballistol and I scrubbed it and I got in and I removed the scales on it and I cleaned them, and when I finally got everything back together, this was the result. The knife cleaned up beautifully, and even though it was basically sitting in gunk, it did not really put much of a scar on the knife. In fact, there's only a few sections here that you can see a little bit of pitting that went in a little bit deeper, but other than that, the knife came out really nice. And you see along here some of that's tape residue because I didn't clean this before I filmed it, and I used that blade to cut open boxes and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of my first point about these knives that I really like, is the fact that they are durable, and it's something you can ride around in your pocket, and it's not going to get pitted or rusty or crappy, and it's going to be there when you need it. So durability is the first reason I like these knives. Next thing I want to cover is versatility. I'm going to be brief, or at least try to be very brief, because everybody knows Swiss Army knives are versatile. That's beating a dead horse. Before I get into that, I want to mention, for anybody wondering, key tag came from Allen Anchor. So there, hopefully, that helps everybody so they don't have to ask 5 million times, because everybody sees this, likes this, and wants to know where I got it. Allen Anchor. So moving into versatility. My old style knife that I used to carry, right? It did one thing really good. It cut open boxes and cut things, right? And that's what a knife does. But this is kind of this is a lot to carry just to open boxes, right? Where I can carry something this size, right? And I'm going to close this all up quick, right? I can carry something this size, and it does so much more. You've got knives on here. You've got scissors, which sometimes people ask, well, why do you need scissors? Here on camera trying to figure out which one's the scissors because I can't see because I'm not holding it up to me, right? So you ask people ask, why do you need scissors on a knife? Well, let me tell you something. I've actually used these before. They're really nice, and the best part about these scissors is they can cut pretty thick stuff. I've had to cut cardboard with these, right? And they can actually cut some pretty thick cardboard really easily, which is nice because sometimes with a knife, especially if you're trying to cut out something precisely, you can't always cut out something precisely with a knife, whereas with a pair of scissors you can, and these are really good and sharp and can cut quite a lot for what they are, right? There's some of these knives that come with different tools. Pliers. This is a fairly basic knife, so it doesn't have all that super fancy stuff, but you get pliers, magnifying glasses, a bunch of stuff. This I really like because you can cut branches and stuff with it if you need to, something that a regular knife blade wouldn't do. the toothpick. It's funny, you know, because the toothpick, another silly thing people don't think of, right? But right before filming this, I was cleaning gunk. There was gunk in my headphones, right? Yes, I know, whatever. But that toothpick allowed me to clean the gunk out of my headphones, which was awesome, right? Moving on, tweezers. Tweezers are great because if you're working on something, especially woodworking, right? You're out somewhere, you get a splinter in your hand. Let me tell you, from someone who's had many splinters in your hand, it's not fun, especially if you got to walk around like that all day. A small pair of tweezers like that is something that can be really come in handy when you're trying to rip that out, and it really can make it easier. So just at the end of the day, I just like the fact that it's a multi-tool, but it's not the size of a multi-tool. You know, some of the multi-tools and Leathermans and stuff, they're really nice, but they're also very big. It's a lot of weight in your pocket. It's a lot you have to carry around, where this is kind of a happy medium between a multi-tool and a pocket knife. So that's kind of versatility. Bouncing off of what I was saying about them being a fairly small package for what they are, and smaller than a multi-tool, the nice thing about these is carry comfort, and that's one of the things I really like about this, is because it's smooth on all sides, right? This is something you can toss in any one of your pockets, front, back, side, whatever, and it doesn't really matter because it's not going to dig into you. You can throw this in a back pocket, which, you know, when you carry a gun, a wallet, phone, keys, all that other stuff, flashlight, you start to run out of pockets. And sometimes you got to use your back pockets, which, you know, whatever you put in your back pocket, you got to sit on if you're going somewhere and you're driving and all that. So it's something like this I like because I can put in my back pocket. It's not really that annoying. But yeah, that's just a really simple one. But I got to say, it's kind of big on when it comes to something you're going to carry on a daily basis, on whether or not you're going to use it, is how comfortable is it to walk around with. Swiss Army knives traditionally are very comfortable because there's not a lot of sharp angles. It's not like something like this, whereas if you stick this in your back pocket, you've got a pocket clip to worry about. You've got the thumb stud on there, right? Not the end of the world, but slightly less comfortable to carry. So comfortable carry, one of the things I like about them. Another big thing I like is they're non-threatening. And reason I like that is, especially with a pocket knife, especially if you're in public, you whip this thing out to use to open something or whatever you're going to work on. And let me ask you this, which is more non-threatening? The black serrated, you know, tactical looking knife, or the little Swiss Army knife that, I mean, even non-knife people and non-like EDC minded people probably know what that is, right? Where that, you know, it looks scary and tactical and all that. I'd much rather have that knife. So at the end of the day, if I got to whip something out and use it, especially if I'm in somewhere that maybe people aren't super, you know, again, you go in certain places where they're not all tactical minded or EDC minded, or, you know, they don't understand the concept of carrying a pocket knife every day, or God forbid a gun, you know, that we won't even go there. I'd much rather have to pull this out and use it than something more tactical. So it's very non-threatening, which is something I like about Swiss Army knives. My final talking point is basically the fact that there are so many accessories you can get for these knives. You know, these knives already come, depending upon which model you get, with so much packed into them, but there's companies that have gone over that and have even gone further and making more little tools, little socket sets and stuff that screw into the corkscrew I've seen, flashlights and stuff that screw in to different parts, you know, things you can change, different things that you can slide into the toothpick and tweezer hole if you decide to change that out, right? You know, you just see so much stuff, you know, pens and stuff, which, hey, you know, in your daily life, how many times do you need a pen? Well, you know, your pocket knife can have a small pen in it. That's pretty cool for someone that's not out in the bush needing to skin a mule deer or something, but maybe just needs to write down an address or something. But yeah, like, the fact that these things are so practical, you know, some of the little rickety multi-tools you see, some of the small stuff like the credit card tool, it's got, you know, a million different uses, right? And the problem is the tools on it are, they're so flimsy and cheap that it breaks if you try and use it, right? Or again, like a Leatherman or something, which is a really good product, but they're bigger, you know, they're bigger than a Swiss Army knife. This to me is just the happiest medium for wanting to have a knife that you can pocket carry, but at the same time having something that might have a little bit extra for if you need it, and still be practical, small, and non-threatening. You know, it doesn't look like you're pulling out the freaking Bowie knife and slicing open your mail. But yeah, that's my thoughts. You know, like I said, I think the Swiss Army knife is the best EDC pocket knife out there. Feel free to change my mind. Let me know what you think down below, and have a good day.